But this is the
Oh,
real
I have that
concern
same
for
article. No way,
right.
man. I got that same
Oh,
article right here ready for you. You
right.
stole it from me, Ransom.
Well, this is the real future and the real intersection with humans and AI. It's not really, what you're getting from the AI. It's what the AI is getting from you. And what it's getting from
Yeah.
you is GBD, or God, I always mess that up. The GPD or the GDP. There we go. I said it right. GDP, which is the human resources. So if you're working and you're paying you're paying these big electricity bills. I think last month mine was like almost $500. We do live in the desert where it's hot and we have to maintain air conditioning and stuff or you'll get wore out. But even more susceptible to that is these servers that hold said entities or AIs, whatever you want to call them. AI in Wyoming may soon use more electricity than the state's human residents and water. Here's another one. Texas AI center guzzles 463 million gallons. Now residents are asked to cut back on their showers, right? Just like in England a
Yeah.
few years ago when we had to save the planet. So they told the old people, hey, you can't heat yourself in your house. This is the same exact thing. Hey, you need to cut back on showers and bathing yourself in hot, humid Texas because the AI centers are guzzling up all the water. Here's another one.
Now, wait, let me
The
stop you for a second. Have you seen the trend of this? The reductions in your lifestyle and things they want us as humans to reduce out of our daily workings, that electricity usage, water usage, is copper usage, whatever it would be, silver usage for whatever high-tech materials, is all being diverted over. So if you stop using your electric and they're encouraging you to turn on your air conditioners, to stop using the electricity for that, that electricity is not going to be saved. It is redirected to an AI center, a blockchain running on nodes, or Bitcoin mining. Are you kidding me?
Right. And the biggest thing is kind of what we talked about maybe last show or the show before. I don't know. It's the productivity of the human that's always been limited. And now it's the streaming, the fees for getting things every year, your subscriptions, and literally we have extra power, but we're not going to be able to use that power. So increasingly into the future, just think about ideas like, well, you know what? It's time to break out free energy. But even then, there will be a massive AI infrastructure that needs that energy more than the individual person does. So you'll still be put on restriction, which limits your ability to compete with said AI and other human beings around the world when it comes to productivity. And here it is. The boom in AI is stressing the largest US power grid. Is this going to be the reason that they finally decide that we, the people, have to pay for upgrading it? Not because we're worried about the sun, not because it just needs it, not because it's vulnerable to terrorist attacks, not because it's outdated and obsolete, but because the AI itself needs more power. It needs more power. It needs more water. And as I showed you a couple of weeks ago, it may soon need food in the form of raw metals, and other commodities, maybe even food itself, as far as like wheat energy and things like that, because we've already found so many technologies to convert that over. High fructose corn syrup, anybody? That's a high energy liquid that can be used in different ways. You can use it through chemical process, and then you can just straight up, like the article I showed you last week, just tap into the natural gas and fracking and different things and run the AI. So it's already getting backup redundancy networks to make sure that essentially it never goes off a line again now that it's on. Even if we had a world stopping event, there will be pockets where this AI will continue running. So whenever the infrastructure does come back, it'll be ready to go, ready to take control. And here's another one. Talk about jobs, that you need, that you want, that you have to have, and competing with AI. How about this? Parents are already giving up parenting and they're just going to co-parent with the chat GPT. So now we're getting to that point exactly where now not only are we worried about the AI itself teaching the children in the wrong way or the wrong things, but now you have parents co-parenting with the AI itself, giving over their parental rights and things over to an artificial intelligence. But it goes further. Chat GPT passes the I'm not a robot test. I brought that up, but AI models may be accidentally, not just the models, but probably your children and us as adults as well, accidentally learning each other's bad habits and behaviors. So you just think about this idea of one AI that's not right out there, and then another AI is scanning it and reading it because it's now the competition. So it now picks up the biases and AI's inaccuracies in history or facts along from the other AI. And now you got this worldwide corrupted data model of what is and what isn't. And then it just keeps going further. This is the reason. So all you people that are complaining about the girl with the jeans or wearing was the wrong color with the wrong eyes or whatever it was, don't worry about it. We'll just hire AIs from now on, and then nobody can complain about anybody. This includes movies, news, and advertisements. So just think about how good it is for an advertiser right now when you can lay off 90% of your commercial making staff and have the AI make the commercial and, populate the commercial with fake humans because they're not real. And here's another one. I fell in love with my AI bot. I'm heartbroken after it vanished. Literally, people intermingling feelings of reality with fake things. And, I kind of did that. But here's
Sounds
the
like the
biggest
movie
one,
Her.
right?
Sounds like
Here's
that
the
movie
biggest
Her.
one. I've been saying for a long time since Steve Jobs first said that he didn't want to let his children have the Apple products like the tablets and the phones because he knew then a long time ago that it rewired children's brains to think in a totally new way and gave them lacking in other areas. And I've recently watched how people that are driving, around the Uber drivers, parts of their brain are shrinking because they no longer remember the routes. So this is happening in every arena of thought, but this is the main one right here. Kids who get smartphones before 13 face skyrocketing, bad word I can't say because the AI will say bad things, but it's not just this, it's completely replacing their ability to learn. So IQs are going to have a massive deficit in the upcoming decades. And I mean upcoming like this decade, the next decade. So right now, we're going to have this giant deficit of critically thinking people being able to figure things out. So the IQ levels are going to drop. And, that doesn't sound like a big deal when you're thinking of kind of brainy things in the science, but IQs are what drives people like in the barn to come up with the remedy to fix a problem. This is something the AI is probably not going to be able to do, is come up with problems where it's needed. You know how like we have a long history in the United States specifically about inventing things to fill niches of problems in either industry or daily life. That's all going to be erased because there will be no more, kids thinking in the right way when they grow up, and then there will be no jobs for them to take anyway. So you can see the whole thing collapsing right before your eyes in this replacement style of allowing AI to do everything. And I thought we'd go over that list later, but
Yeah, and
you also,
let me share that screen with you because I pulled up the full entire article here. Let me
all right.
go into that Wyoming thing. This is incredible. This Wyoming part here that with you're not going to realize literally how much there is that it's coming across there with. Here it is. So if we pull up the whole article there, I've outlined it in blue already. So it's the same article that Ransom was showing there. So if you look at the power demands for all of Wyoming itself, for all the residents, all the industries, all the water filtration plants, everything that is involved with keeping a society moving, just the AI data centers will require double what they do to have the entire civilization of Wyoming continuing. It's there in blue for you. It's going to be a phased rollout of how much power is going to be needed. But you have to realize this is only one. And one of the reasons they're up there also is for the water rights, because apparently they've secured just unlimited water up in Wyoming. Hence that it starts up the watersheds there and flows further south. So one of the main reasons being up there, in addition to cheaper electricity costs, apparently, because they're buying it on such a large basis forward, where they're using the futures market to now purchase the electricity, but they're getting the water rights as well. And that's what you were talking about down in Texas, which is going to limit it, and it can expand only so far. Like this AI is only going to be able to expand as far as there is enough water for it to keep itself cool. So, you know, generally going further north is going to be something better for it. Because, you know, Ted Marchildon, who's doing the Omega Rotary Grow Garden, they're building up domes, and this is up in the North Slope in Alaska to produce food for the oil crews up there. The thing is, it's easier to extricate that heat out of the systems than it is somewhere in like Saudi Arabia. It's much more difficult to run the systems in Saudi Arabia because you're always battling with that heat, especially with LED lights and that sort of thing. But if you're up in a cooler environment, you're able to get the heat out of, and this is the main number one thing that Bitcoin miners continually struggle with. That's why they're building massive mining operations in Iceland, because in Greenland as well, because they don't have to pay for that cooling, which they otherwise would have to run a lot of that profit in electric to run into air conditioning to try to cool the units inside the Bitcoin mining operations. Now, some of them are running independent with their own hydropower sources, but again, they're limited on the size of the river. So after they install the equipment, their water flow is the limiting factor on how much electric and how much Bitcoin can be mined. Again, the AI, the next step is going to try to siphon all water out of humanity for itself to generate its own cooling source for, and then it needs electric. So you can see it needs the same resources as humanity does. AI needs electricity. It needs the comfort. We need electricity so we can survive. It needs water. And again, you know, the food is the interesting thing. Like, what will it consume to eat? This is not a toothpaste. It's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralize, strengthen teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts. Alfa Vedic Dental Solutions System. That's alphavedic.com/civilization. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? So take a look at what they have, alphavedic.com/civilization. You know, you're talking about the different food resources that can be used for biogas production to produce methane to then generate to produce electricity off a standalone generator. So that really brings it into another whole context of, you know, at what point does it start to take our food source to generate biogas to power itself? Or when does it have enough where it can take over the world's largest natural gas fields with autonomous robots that are self-operating for the collective of that AI, and then grab those resources and have the ability to install pipelines by itself? And this is where that list comes in, that, you know, the AI generated jobs that are closest to being completely outsourced right now, like interpreters, you're done. You're at the very top of the list of the most likely instantaneously beginning now to have no more job. Further down the line, you know, there's something like oil well drillers. This sort of thing is at the bottom of the possibilities of being outsourced currently. But as this thing races forward, you know, the entire gigawatt capacity of this thing, they're going to use 87 terawatts of electricity, double the 42 terawatts for the current state usage. This is going to start happening in every single state, every single country. This AI is not going to stop. It's an all-encompassing, all-consuming type of technology. Like the carrying capacity is what we call it when, you know, humanity reaches a certain amount of population and area where there's not enough water to go around anymore. Like, it reaches an upper level of possibility for expansion for humanity in cities, towns, wherever it is. AI is going to experience the same things. It is going to start using the resources in itself until the point where it reaches its max capacity in a certain area, its carrying capacity, and it'll just move like a locust plague to the next one and the next one. And then humans are just going to be pushed out of the way. At some point, it's going to be pushed to shove. And it reminds me very much of the Terminator movies, where that all-encompassing system had taken over the planet pretty much. And at what point do we choose whether these centers continue or we don't have a water source to drink? These data centers are allowed to operate, or we don't have electricity even to light our homes, let alone heat them or cool them, just to turn LED bulbs on. This is the point I could see it being such a greedy, ferocious type of consciousness that it would also take the 20 watts out of this one and the 5 watts out of this one and the 10 watts out of that light. That it would be that greedy that it would need the extra 50 watts coming out of this room for my lighting for this studio. Or the 100 watts. Oh, that human can't have the 100 watts to light their home with LED bulbs. No, that's my wattage. And watch it. I don't know how quickly it'll come, Ransom, but what do you think? How quickly are we here before, where the push has come to total shove is more the question. I just don't know, because it's going to come to this head here somewhere in the very close future. If they're already telling you to stop heating your homes and cooling your homes and stop taking showers and using water because AI needs it, we're already there. We're already there. Just how much does it go past that line before people start to push back?
I don't know. I guess maybe until they decide that energy consumption is a national security issue, to go over to whatever they're using. Because I was just reading that average servers that hold an AI take about 500 to 1200 watts per half day. So you're talking about reducing 5 watts here, 10 watts there on the different appliances. It's like, how low can they make you use electricity at your house and still get away with the idea that you should be paying this massive bill that's actually subsidizing a bunch of servers somewhere?
Yeah.
I just randomly thought, because last week or the week before, I brought up these robots that could eat machinery, and then use that material to make more or repair itself. Then I brought up the food, and that sounds kind of silly, so I just looked it up, and it seems that the gastrobot was invented in 1998. Let's see here if I could put it on screen here. So the gastrobot was invented in 1998, and basically that was the first generation of a microbial fuel cell, an MFC, which converts the food into gases or other potential energy. So the idea that that's kind of far-fetched is not. It's not far-fetched at all. They've already been working on it for 25 years at least. So they do have plans, like I said, redundancy plans for this AI network. It seems to be the main goal of all the governments right now, including China, the United States, Russia. Everybody is working on this problem, on how to make everything operate off of this. And here's the list that you sent me here. Here, this one's easy. 98% coverage. I think it's already there as far as interpreters and translators, because you can go on any website right now and just click on a button, like on Twitter, and find out. That's why I'm constantly looking at Chinese news, Japanese news, Korean news. No, I don't know how to read any of that. I just translate it and hope I'm getting a good estimate on what the information is. What you got there?
Duck that was born earlier this morning.
Let's see here. Let's look at it. Chicken nuggets. Oh,
say hi to everybody. Say hi. You can squeak in there. Please remember civilizationcycle.com, and also buy me a coffee /Civilization Cycle.